All right, everybody, welcome to our Wednesday mastermind session. It's called Attraction in Action because we want you to get into massive action around attraction, to build that residual, that passive income, that freedom money, you guys. Think about it like this. RevShare is the only thing that I've personally discovered that has increased my income and my freedom at exactly the same time. It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, you can make a lot more money in real estate sales. All you have to do is work harder. And yes, you're going to pay for that additional income with what? With your freedom. As you build revenue share, it will increase your freedom and your income exactly the same time. And that sounds kind of like an oxymoron. Those words don't even belong in the same sentence, do they? Based on how we've been conditioned our entire lives, and many of us by our parents, you got to work hard if you want to make a lot of money. Well, thanks to EXP, you really don't. And once you hit about 125 agents in your RevShare group, guys, it just takes a life of its own. It's a pain in the ass to get to 125 agents. Let's just be honest. It is a pain, yet it's worth it. I'm here to tell you it's worth it. So whatever it takes, you got to push Mick aside. Remember Mick? MIC, it's an acronym. We all have a Mick. It's our inner voice. It's our inner dialogue. It stands for my inner cynic that holds us back, keeps us within that little comfort bubble. So guys, it's time to break out of that bubble today, like right now. I mean, is it going to be someday or is it going to be first day? And it's totally up to you. I encourage you to make it first day. Now, as always, I love to start off with high energy and I'd love to hear some wins from the group. So somebody kind of pipe in, let me know. Tell me something good.
Woohoo!
Darren, take it away, my man.
I onboarded a icon level agent on last Friday, and I have 2 more icon level agents coming on this week.
Bravo, Darren. Good job, man. And you're just grinding it out daily, right? I mean, there was a change in you. There's a change in your mindset where maybe you weren't taking revenue share development seriously, meaning you weren't treating it like a quote unquote real business. And yet all of a sudden, about a month ago, I noticed this change in you that you just caught on fire, man. And you're cold calling agents, you're making things happen. What was the catalyst of change for you?
Well, I went through your training and I went through John Middleton's training, and I finally just got to the point where I had to decide whether I really believed in this opportunity or not.
Is that muted?
And I got to the point where I was like, this is the best opportunity I'm ever going to have in my life. It's time to get off the pot and just get very intentional with what I was doing. And now this is the thing that I focus on the most every day.
And I love it, Darren. Smart move. Now, at the same time, I'd be cautious, guys, meaning you've got bills to pay. There's no doubt about that. So you must focus a portion of your energy, obviously, toward production, transactional income. That's what's going to pay the bills. Yet I would encourage you to carve out a little bit of time like Darren has, right? To just say, okay, I'm going to maintain focus and I'm going to focus on my agent attraction, whether it be for 15 minutes, a half hour, an hour, just carve the time and maintain focus during that time block. And by the way, I would treat that time block like a $2 million listing appointment. I literally would. Because while that $2 million listing appointment is going to bring you 50 to 60,000 in GCI, that's short-lived, where the agents that you list, the agents that you attract to align with this organization, you're going to be paid every single month like clockwork, right? Gotta love that. Jack Ty, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, so we onboarded one of the largest mortgage company in our area, and the owner, they have real estate license too, and they got a bunch of realtors I didn't know, and I broke the 200 agent mark.
Hey, Jack, you know what that is, bud?
Winning.
That's winning. I love it when you're winning, Jack. And Jack actually flew me out to California. I took the stage, the presentation for, geez, you must have had 100 people there. It was phenomenal. And just added value to them. And I trust you're getting significant traction through just coming from contribution, educating the agents in your local market area. And it makes the whole, attraction process so much easier, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
No doubt. All right, Will Higgins, take it away.
Thank you.
I finally broke 180. I'm 10 away from 200, 10 away from beta.
Hey, well, I love it, man. I love it. And what you're going to experience, you guys, once you hit that level, and you will, sorry, I'm just standing up. I've been sitting all morning in back-to-back sessions, so bear with me 1 second. Just want to get my energy up a little bit. So once you get that level, Will, you're probably finding that it's taking a life of its own. Am I right?
It is, but I have a large group in Oklahoma, and I noticed they're growing. But here in California, it's just very different. I feel like it's very difficult to get agents. Everybody's interested in Compass and the agency and just the look of it all, and they aren't really looking at the money. So it hasn't grown as fast as I would like. But yes, it is exciting when I look in there and there's another 2 or 3 people that somebody else recruited, and it's just not me.
Doesn't that feel good? I love it. I opened up my RevShare dashboard this morning, as I do every morning. Guys, over the last 30 days, an average of 9 agents have aligned with the organization per day, including Saturdays and Sundays. Just 9 agents a day. And I don't know any of them. I don't know their first and last name. I don't even know where they're located yet. Simply put, when they sell a house, my family gets paid. And guys, I got to tell you that I am so grateful, seriously, so grateful for this opportunity. And I'm grateful for you today for just plugging in to learn, to improve your knowledge, skills, your mindset, your habits through this process. I am fired up for each and every one of you. And I want you to experience the same thing. In an effort to make that happen, I've invited a friend of mine, somebody who approached me, what was it, Juan, about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago?
I would say it was probably, even before that, 2018.
Yeah, 2018. Okay, so 5 years ago. And here's this young kid. You were probably what, 25, 26 then, right? 25.
24 at the time. Yeah.
24-year-old kid saying, "Hey, Sean, I want you to be my coach." And I'm thinking, man, you're awfully young. Can you afford what I do? That's what I was thinking. And yet here's a young man who's got a business mind. A business mind as it relates to building his personal production, then building a real estate sales team, then building a training company is his latest endeavor. And he just made 30 under 30. Congratulations, Juan. That's awesome. And man, get your pens ready, get your papers out. I'm telling you, and you're going to be writing fast, because this guy, he can talk a mile a minute. In fact, I was joking around with him when we jumped on a Zoom meeting about, I don't know, a couple of months ago. And I said, when Juan started coaching with me, man, we got 3 times as much done during our coaching sessions because he talks so darn fast. I'll tell you what. And he would come to me and we'd coach together for 6 months. He's like, "Sean, okay, I've got my game plan. I got my strategy. I'm going to step away for a couple of months. I'm going to focus on implementation and deployment." And then he'd come back a couple of months later. We'd coach for 6 months and he's like, "Okay, Sean, I'm good. Let me focus on implementation." And man, he just did it. So he's the founder of Gold Bar, and he's just killing it, crushing it. Juan, welcome to our call, man.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And the goal for today is to leave everyone with as much value as possible so they can go ahead and do exactly that, implement. We get on this call, we do the rah, 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 we do exactly what we do best, which is motivate people. Well, that's great and all, but what can we walk away with that you guys could actually put into action? That's the purpose of this call. So let's get it going.
All right, my man. So as you know, Juan, there's 4 categories that we must focus on to build a sustainable revenue share organization at EXP. It's recruiting, it's retention, revenue or per agent production, and finally, reproduction. So where are you focused your energy right now, or is it in all 4 categories evenly? Talk to me.
I'm 1000% all in on retention. I went ahead and I looked at my downline this morning and I have close to 1,200 agents in the entire organization. But here's the scary fact. I joined the EXP in 2018 and I've had 2,400 agents onboarding. What that means is I have a 50% retention rate within the company. Now, is that all due to me? No, I have to be honest. Part of it has to do with the EXP, their infrastructure, people just quitting the business, whatever it may be. But what I realized is I could go out there and build a recruiting machine, which I have. I'm recruiting about 30 to 40 agents a month. But if they don't actually stay on board, or they don't plug into the culture, or they don't attend shareholders or the Orlando conference or anything on that end, at some point they're going to leave. So right now I'm 100% all focused on the retention. When I got started at EXP, I was all about the recruiting and bringing people on board massively. And I think it's doing a combination of both, which will give people a really good operation to scale the same way you scaled yours.
Absolutely, Juan. So focusing on retention is something that is a must if you want to build a sustainable group, no doubt about that. So Juan, right now, what is your #1 strategy to make sure that once an agent is onboarded, that you can retain them? I mean, talk to me.
It's plugging them into the community. So essentially when someone were to come in, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, we'd say, "Hey, come on board and we have these weekly coaching calls and you could go ahead and attend them if you'd like." The issue with these weekly coaching calls is maybe less than 10 or 15% of the entire organization actually shows up. For example, Sean, you know exactly what I paid you. It's an arm and a leg, and you're worth every single dollar. But hey, if I had you as my upline, I'd be on every single call you're hosting. And I know how many people are in your organization. And look, there's 80 people on this call. So it's just the law of the numbers that if you don't actually get them plugged in and you don't give them an additional layer of support, or you don't tell them where they could get a hold of you or what they have to do as far as the next steps go, they end up winging it. And any single time that an agent becomes very reactive or they start winging their entire business, we usually see a much higher drop off with that agent. So what we like to do is immediately onboard them through actually giving them courses, training, step-for-step procedures on what to do as soon as they join EXP. I think the EXP onboarding process has gotten better, but it's still not perfected. So we went ahead and actually hired our own in-house onboarding manager. And then we kind of call it the Ritz-Carlton service in the sense that EXP onboards you, but then you meet with Brianna. And then Brianna will walk you through on our training platform, our weekly coaching calls, what to do if you ever get lost, scared, or confused. And now by knowing that they have that Brianna or that second layer of service within the community, they're now in a position where they're like, okay, you know what? I like this. I'm going to stay here. And if I ever get lost, I know who to call.
I love it, Juan. Now, you and I both buy into the philosophy of who, not you, right? So how important is it to have a Brianna in your world? Talk to me.
I'll put it this way. Before Brianna, it was more so me handling everything within the entire organization. And with me having over 1,000 people, it was almost impossible to keep everyone happy. The second you designate that role of, we could call it a downline management, or we could call it retention manager, whatever you want to put the name to the actual category, but someone that's just there to actually help people that get lost, scared, or confused throughout the process. It just adds a whole nother level of value that you're bringing to future recruits. Whenever we go ahead and we recruit someone nowadays, we tell them, hey, before you go ahead and get started, just be aware, I'm going to connect you with Brianna, and she's going to help you with the application. And by introducing someone like that very early on, they know, okay, she was with me from day one. I can go ahead and reach out to her in 2 or 3 months if I'm actually confused over there as well. If you're doing it yourself, well, then you become the entire customer service manager, which is basically the same thing as you handling your own transactions or you doing your own consultations. And we like to talk about scaling a team and scaling out a production, but these are all things where you want to assign the same way that you're building the actual recruiting business, take about 10, 20, 30% of your rev share and reinvest it back into retention.
Love it, Juan. Now, the numbers don't lie. There's no doubt about that. Numbers don't lie. And Juan, when you're trying to do that yourself, your attrition rate, 50%. So you have to recognize, maybe I'm not the smartest person in the room from time to time, right? And say, or maybe that's not my focus. Maybe I'm not so great at that hand-holding aspect of this, right? See, I want you to think in terms of 3 words, right? Who, not you. Who, not how. So the who, not how, let's talk a little bit about that one. Of all the things that you're doing, especially building your training organization, I mean, there's so many things that you got to focus on, right? You got to focus on awareness campaigns, marketing campaigns. You got to focus on the methodology, building your slide decks, your presentations, and you can't do it all. And if you try to do it all, it's going to take you 100 times longer. How important is it to find the who knows the how, especially as it relates to things like digital marketing and things like that?
I think it's probably the most important thing you could do, because if you bring on the wrong person, they're going to be an exact representation of who you are and your core values in your business. So for example, I have Steven, who's my expansion manager. And I don't do any of my recruiting calls anymore nowadays. I have Steven that'll hop on the call and explain the entire process for them. If Steven was doing it in a way where it didn't really show the same level of service that I was going to personally bring on that actual phone call, well, the entire thing starts collapsing. So when it comes to the who, it's extremely important you identify, what are you doing that's not the best use of your time? And if you start treating revenue share like a business, the same way you would treat a sales business, the only thing you want to focus on when you're actually building a business is prospecting, lead gen, lead nurturing, lead conversion. Well, on the recruiting side, well, there's the lead nurturing, there's the lead conversion, but then there's the actual retention of the lead. If you're retaining you're doing the customer service and you're actually retaining that lead and making sure that they stay in the company, it's the equivalent of you still managing your own operations, your customer service, your transaction management, your showings. You want to outsource that. So I just went ahead and put it in the comments. The second you hit 6 figures in rev share, which, like I said, it should take around 200, 300, 400 agents in your entire organization. Now it's time to start reinvesting back into support so that you can increase retention, and then that'll just start a catalyst of it even getting bigger.
Undoubtedly. Okay, so what Wanda's really referencing here, guys, is the Pareto's principle, right? It's the 80-20 rule, where 20% of your actions as it relates to building your revenue share organization are going to yield a minimum of 80% of your results. Now, it's interesting, Juan, and you brought this to light. I want to underline this, is that the 20% effort when you first start out, and that job description associated with the 20% or the dollar productive work, tends to shift a little bit as you grow your organization, where at first your 20% work was just lead generation, lead follow-up, lead conversion, setting appointments, right? And negotiating the transfer of EXP. I'm sure that that was most of your 20% effort, right? Now that your organization is growing beyond 1,000, all of a sudden the 20% is changing a little bit, isn't it?
Absolutely. It went from just recruiting to now, okay, what can I do to help you now that you're actually part of the organization and you're part of the brokerage? The majority of the entire downline consists of about, I would say, 30 to 40 builders that really went out of their way to focus recruiting while everyone else is still focused on sales. So instead of me reinvesting my time and energy and really just going all in on 1,200 people, I just pick the top 50 and I make sure to call them weekly. I make sure to invite them to events. I make sure to be a perfect example of what a good sponsor would be like to them. And then in addition, I tell them to do the same thing with their organization. So it's kind of like the way you build it from the top, it's how it's going to level out in terms of the entire organization. And if you could just show them what a good example of a good sponsor is, even if you didn't sponsor them directly, even if there's someone that just happens to be on your level 2 or 3 or 4, they're going to go ahead and go above and beyond when it comes to their downline also.
Yeah, so speed of the leader is speed of the pack, no doubt about that. Now, I want to clarify one thing that was said earlier, and I even said it myself, a 50% attrition rate. Now, mind you guys, that's over a 5-year period. That's over a 5-year period. So if you average that out, it's about a 10% attrition rate, right? And yet, where I came from at Keller Williams, and nothing against Keller Williams, loved my time there, their attrition rate is 35% year over year over year. Okay, so the model in and of itself is really designed to help you and I retain these agents, especially higher producing agents. An agent reach icon agent status, they cap and then close an additional 20 transactions within their anniversary year, or make a sum total of 500,000 or more in GCI. They reach that icon agent level and they jump through the hoops to get all 16,000 that they paid DXP back in the form of EXP stock. Remember, that doesn't vest for 3 years. And if they left, they're walking away from all that stock. And depending on what the stock valuation is doing, that 16,000 could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars that they're never going to want to leave. So the model is built to help us retain. Yet I think it's incumbent upon all of us as leaders that once we get them to EXP, to keep them at EXP. Now, one of my key frustrations, and I want to voice this out loud, okay, is that even though we've blazed the trail for them, they align with our organization, we show them step by step. Here's what you do. Literally, the stepping stones are there. Left foot goes here, right foot goes there, left foot goes here, right? We showed them the steps. Many people, they just simply ignore all of that. They just shut their mind off to it. And that's one of my key frustrations. So our organization is hyper-focused, like you want, on indoctrinating them to the organization. We're really hyper-focused on community, on culture, and a mutually beneficial model such that we're adding value to one another. See, many of you are saying, well, I tried to do a mastermind, yet nobody shows up. Well, here's my input. If there's a lack of value or a lack of a perception of value and them investing their time, they're never going to show up. So it's really about that right from the get-go to indoctrinate them into your community, your culture. In fact, we're going so far as to engage, like, for example, building an LMS, a learning management system. We want to do that through Lightspeed VT. If you guys want to check it out, it's interactive learning management system, video-based, where, okay, you've joined EXP, congratulations. Watch video number 1. Okay, yet video number 1 is interactive, meaning, hey, I want to get to know you a little bit. First, from these 4 options, tell me, are you brand new to real estate? If so, click here. Are you 0 to 12 months? Are you 1 year to 5 years? Are you 5 years to 10 years? Go ahead and click your button or whatever it is, right? 10 years plus. And they click, and then it takes them to a different video depending on their duration of tenure, if that makes sense, because we're going to communicate with them in a customized fashion. Plus, we're developing an app for their cell phone that they can simply download from the iTunes store, the Android store, to further indoctrinate the process so they get access to all of this information. So, just getting people to plug in. And Juan, how are you doing that? Let us all learn from you. How are you?
So when it comes to getting them to plug in, it's like anything else in life. There's levels to the relationship. So we could go ahead and start out that as soon as someone joins your downline, if you didn't recruit them and they're your level 4, the relationship is completely cold. The easiest thing you could do is send out a mass text blast or a mass email, and that'll go ahead and level up the relationship, let them know at least who you are. From there, make yourself open to the point where they could actually get on your calendar. How do they get access to you? Have them book a call with you. If they don't want to book a call with you, that's fine, but at least email blast your entire link so that they know how they could actually get access to you and get in touch with you if they wanted to. From there, it's about actually manually following up. Actually give them a call, send them a personal text message, or leave them a voicemail letting them know, hey, my name is Juan, you're in my level 4. Just wanted to let you know I'm in your upline. If you ever need anything, give me a call, and then we can go ahead and help you out. I don't do this anymore. I have Brianna do this for me. However, it's something that you should be doing if your downline is less than 100 people, a no-brainer. Once you go ahead and you implement this entire process, one of two things is going to happen. They're either going to go ahead and plug in, they're going to take advantage of you, they're going to reach out, they're going to call you, they're going to attend the coachings, or they're not. They may be very introverted, they may not care. There's a million reasons why somebody don't want to attend one of these calls. Once you go ahead and you realize they're not really taking place, then maybe you want to level it up. You may want to invite them to an in-person event. You may want to go out of your way to reach out to them through a different manner. You may want to send them a handwritten note, something to just show them that, hey, you're actually making a conscious effort to get in communication with them. If at that point, they're not going ahead and responding back, and you're not seeing any reaction that they want to even build a relationship with you and they just want to do their own thing, then at that point, it's okay to back off, let them know that the weekly coaching call is happening, and then I send them a weekly email or a mass email letting them know on up-to-dates. But if they do reinvest and they do bite and they want to go ahead and get more of you, start inviting them to in-person events, invite them to shareholders, invite them to the EXP annual conference, try to see what you could do to actually get them face-to-face. And when you are face-to-face, invite them out to dinner, have a cup of coffee with them, literally build a relation with them. Of my 50 builders and influencers, I've personally met with every single one of them, to the point where we usually see each other once or twice a year at actual events. The people that are invested into events and are actually taking time out of their day to attend these conferences and do things just within our private downline are actually really becoming close friends of mine. And we just call each other and we know each other's family members, we know each other's spouses, we know things about their personal life. Like, it just gets to the point where they go from being your downline to being people that you work with on a day-to-day basis to being part of like your actual sphere. And the second you could get your top 20, 30, 40, 50 people in your entire organization, basically like friends, it's going to be very hard for them to leave. Why would they leave friends and culture and a community that cares about them, loves them, and supports them? And then EXP is the best comp plan ever. It's a win-win. But the only reason they would leave EXP is, this is my number one thing that I get, is I feel like I didn't have support. And when they say I don't feel like I don't have support, what they're basically saying is not that the support isn't there, but no one actually reached out to me to show me they care about me. Or number two, they're lost, scared, or confused. And when they're lost, scared, and confused, it's only a matter of time till they go ahead and look for another option. So just make sure you make yourself available and reinvest back into those people that are obviously making a conscious effort to grow.
Absolutely. And we're seeing a lot of chats in a lot of comments in the chats, I should say, that yeah, my sponsor rarely reaches out to me. I get very little love from them. That's the general feel of how most people are feeling. So I think we can all change that. We really can. It's just a matter of investing the time. It's kind of like, okay, I had a prospect come into an open house that I was hosting. I gave them a card, and surely they're going to call me when they're ready, right? It doesn't happen that way, guys. You got to follow up. You got to nurture if you want to form the relationship, right? So same thing with your revenue share organization. I'm certainly working hard to get better at it. It's one of my key frustrations right now in building a revenue share, and I'm looking for solutions. So this is the one thing I wanted to mastermind around today more than anything else. So, hey guys, this is the part where you get to really actively participate. I want to hear from you. What are you doing to help with retention? By the way, last week we had Elizabeth Riley on, and she talked about the AHA Club, right? Agents helping agents. That's the acronym, the AHA Club. And she does one event every month, and she invites a speaker in to just pour into the organization. What a great reason to reach out to them, whether it's an email, a group text, whatever it is. At least they're hearing from you, right?
Sean, it seems to be that
Sean.
the recurring theme. Oh, I don't mean to cut someone off, but it seems to be that the recurring theme is the lack of sponsors reaching out and just showing that they care. And I can't say enough, the amount of orphan agents in EXP that actually have sponsors is outstanding. The sponsors forget about them. The sponsors are just too busy doing their own thing. So if you could be that sponsor that does their business a little bit differently for retention purposes, it's going to make a night and day difference in your RevShare.
Hey, Sean, One thing I've started doing that I've seen like a really great response from. Again, I don't have thousands of people, but the people I see recurring on my RevShare that are closing deals, I'll call them and say, "Congratulations on closing your deals. Anything I can do to help you," and they love it.
Way to go, Will. It's so powerful, so easy, and you all have access to that through my.exprealty.com. You can just analyze your revenue share organization, who closed a transaction last month. Give them a call, give them congratulations. Maybe it's a video text that you're just going to drop to them, whatever that is. I think it's brilliant. Thanks, Will. Jack Ty, your hands up. Go ahead.
As far as retention, I make it an effort to call all my tier ones and also the leader within our group once a month. And I mean, ideally we want to take care of our tier one and train our tier one to take care of their tier ones. And I feel like sometimes it's hard for me to have my tier ones to, or the leaders, the tractors to, do what we were just taught here. So what is it that I can do there so that way, can make this like everybody can collaborate,
Yeah, I love it, Jack. Thank you. And by the way, you remember the old BOLD law. Many of you who have taken the BOLD program. If it's not in your schedule, it what?
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. So guys, time block the time. Call your tier ones, formulate that relationship. Let them know that you care, that you're available. Reach out to them. Many of you have scheduling links that you can provide to the people in your tier one. Anytime they need assistance, just use the scheduling link, identify a time that's convenient for you. You'll be booked right onto my schedule, and just keep pushing them that direction. Just book on my calendar, book on my calendar. Make sure that everybody has your calendar link. It's an easy way to make sure that they know you're here to support and help them. That's good stuff. All right, anybody else have some thoughts around how to retain agents?
Can I ask a quick question?
Jack, please.
Yeah, so I got a couple like influencers that joined our company just recently. And so ideally I want to sit down with them to go over their plan because they want to attract. So if you are sitting down with them to help them formulate a plan, as far as attending the trainings or coming to this call, going to the event, how would you do that conversation?
That's a great question. Juan, let's start with you. So he's got a few influencers, and I'm assuming that you're talking about influencers on social media. Is that correct?
Like people who has been in the business for a long time, and somebody who was in a KW but attracting more than 100 agents that just joined us. But I feel like I'm not like sharing them enough that they are uncertain about the structure, what is the way to do it right. And I don't know how to like structure it so they have a clear roadmap on what to do every single day, because they don't call people like what I do, like in terms of like reaching out to 2 to 5 agents a day, so I want to kind of just get a plan for them.
Okay, perfect.
So Jack, it always starts with identifying what their end goal is. If you go to one of these influencers, team leaders, whoever it may be, and you just genuinely ask them, hey, like, what is your end goal 5 years from now? Where do you want to be? They're going to tell you something along the lines of growth, expansion. They want to build their team. They want to go into multiple states. They want to retire. They want freedom. It's usually something in that lines. If I'm describing the person that like is more based like a leader, all you have to do is say, wonderful. What if I could introduce you to someone that can help you get there faster? And when they say, yeah, sure, I'd like to learn more, say, cool, I'm gonna introduce you to Sean Kokoska. Do you know who he is? It's that easy. Like, I'll be honest, if Sean, if you were in my upline, I'd be lining you up on 45 appointments a week, easily. And then I'd hire 3 VAs to line you up so that I wouldn't have to do them for you. Now, I think on a one-on-one, if we were to go at it and start recruiting one-on-one, I think I could probably give you a run for your money. But knowing that I have you in my organization and that I have these systems in place, I try to get every single soul in real estate that has their license in front of you. It's edifying the person that's above you, edifying their experience. And then Jack, your experience is really irrelevant. You could be a brand new agent. You could have sold $1 billion worth of real estate. If you have someone that could go out there and literally shock growth into people, you just want to get them in front of that person all day long. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Great input, Juan. Other questions? Guys, Juan has built an organization over 1,000 people. And by the way, most of those 1,000 people have joined what in the last 24 months, Juan?
I would say they joined in the last 24 months, correct. I actually started recruiting heavily starting in 2020. Prior to that, I did not focus on recruiting whatsoever.
Yeah, and many people, they join EXP with no intention to recruit, and yet then maybe they get one person who says, well, hey, tell me about EXP. That person comes over. Then they get this magical free money that shows up into their account. And they're like, well, maybe there's something to this, right? And then they start to catch that bug and want, no, you're no different, right? I remember when I first started coaching with you, you were with Keller Williams, you made the decision, you jumped over to EXP, and I was shocked because I was drinking the Keller Williams Kool-Aid still back then, but I was shocked, and you were just focused on production. That was that. Yet, what was the shift for you to shift from focusing solely on personal production to really start focusing on revenue share?
So I'll put it this way. The first epiphany I had in my life, I was a junior in college studying for 4 days straight in a row for an organic chemistry test. I wanted to be a doctor. And that's when I first had the epiphany. I don't want to do this the rest of my life. Let me go out there and find the way where I can become financially free. So I got my real estate license. That's 2016. From 2016 to 2018, and I start working. And I'm talking working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. I'm door knocking, I'm cold calling, I'm doing everything possible. And then I realized right around 2019, I'm just back on the hamster wheel. It's just a different wheel. So when I started getting into real estate, we all get into this to become financially free, but then we get caught up in the life of being a realtor, which is really just being a high paid consultant, trading your time for money. That's when I had the second epiphany. I was like, the only reason I joined the XP was so that I could have access to financial freedom. And instead of investing in this opportunity, I'm just investing in the wheel that's going to make me more money while running faster. How do I invest into the wheel that runs without me being there? And then when I first got my first RevShare check, which was for about, I think like, I don't know, it was like $200. I realized I'd rather have earned the $200 doing nothing than the $2,000 commission from the deal I closed, having to work 40 hours behind that. And then from there, it was just kind of like, this is simple to me. I just want to go out there and grow this as big as possible.
Love it, Juan. Fantastic. Okay, several hands up. Will, over to you first.
Yeah, Sean, I had a question for you guys out there that have cappers and icon agents in your group. What are you doing special for those people when they hit those milestones?
Great question. What are you guys doing? Well, first off, we're bragging internally within the organization through our private workplace group to brag on that person, to give them the spotlight and make them feel special and recognized. I think that's critically important. You can also do some PR announcements through social media channels, email campaigns, your hunt list, no doubt about that. Hey, so-and-so who joined our organization, they just got their 16,000 that they paid to EXP back in the form of EXP stock. What did your broker do for you last year? Just out of curiosity, right? Oh, you got a baseball cap that says capper. Congratulations. Good stuff. Kyle, over to you. Yeah, well, by the way, other input from the group. What are you doing for your capping agents and icon agents to recognize them?
It's funny you say that, Sean. I started doing, I'm giving them the capper hat now because I see agents paying Keller Williams $30,000 and $40,000 and bragging about these caps. So I was like, okay, maybe they really love this thing. So I started doing that as well. And that's worked out well for me.
I love it, Will. That's perfect. Way to go. So not only do they get the baseball cap, they also get their stock. That's a good thing. Okay. Kyle, over to you.
I always make that joke. It's a $21,000 ball cap, but I guess question for you guys is if you're going in and doing that, more one, you kind of went, you had that epiphany. Well, I'll give you this. I had this epiphany on Monday. And so it literally has been, I've been here for a year. I capped in about 2 months, and I icon and 4 total. So I mean, I came in and really been going after it. The epiphany for the attraction stuff, like I said, happened Monday. My question for you is, when you started, what did you do to actively reaching out for both of you? Sean, yours was kind of more of a coming from Keller Williams background and everything that way. But Juan, what were you doing? Were you actively like, hey, I see that you're selling a lot of real estate? Because I'm all over I'm in 3 different countries right now. I'm recruiting in 3 different countries right now. And so I'm actively doing that as well. But what was your conversation like at that point?
So basically my method from day one in 2020 was always phone call. This was right during the pandemic. I think that year alone, I probably clocked in 500 recruiting consultations. And the way I would go out of my way to get appointments was I have a Calendly link, Calendly.com or Acuity Scheduling. They're just booking links to go ahead and qualify people. And you want to put the actual questions in there. How long you've been an agent? What's your brokerage you're a part of? What's your long-term goal? What are you looking to do when it comes to your business? And then what was your production last year? Those are the qualifying questions I had on the actual booking link. Once I had a booking link set up, It was almost like a little funnel. My goal was to get that link in front of everyone. So I had to find a place to fill it up. So I would go on realtor.com. I would type in a random zip code. We could just go ahead and type in, I don't know, we'll put in Minnesota. We put in the Minnesota zip code, and then I would go up and down the list based on most active agents. Because once again, you don't want to be calling newbie agents, nothing against newbies, but they're probably not closing deals and they have an 87% chance of failing anyway. So I wanted to close people that were actually closing deals and were in production and stuff like that. So on realtor.com, I would filter the entire list. And then off the top, I would start calling them one by one by one by one. And I would just say, hey, Leslie, what's going on? My name is Juan Carlos with eXp Realty. How are you? Good, good, good. Listen, the reason for my call, I know it's completely out of the blue. I came across your profile on realtor.com, and I think you were absolutely crushing it. And I would love to work with you. I'm just going to ask you a simple question. Would you ever consider another brokerage model if you could make more money? You do that question and you do it with the right energy, enthusiasm, and just passion. Every 1 out of 10 people is going to say, yeah, sure, why not? And from there, cool. I'm going to send you my link. Go ahead and feel free to pick any time that works best for you. And then I'm looking forward to speaking with you. So I'll show you exactly step for step how we can do that. If for whatever reason I don't come, if I don't, and Sean, I think you taught me that script, right?
It's something along those lines. Yet, yeah, I love that direct approach, quite honestly, because guys, I can't stand it when somebody approaches me and they're working an angle. I just don't know the angle, right? They're focusing on, well, let me try and get close to you. And oh, by the way, 6 months later, you're going to tell me what your agenda truly is. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. Yet that's just my dominant behavior style. That works for some of you, and that's great. It works for some of you. And here's the thing. You can do 1,000 things to be successful at attracting agents. I personally, like Juan, I personally prefer a direct approach. So I love it, Juan. I mean, this is a cold call. You don't know me. I don't know you. I learned this from John Mendelsohn. Don't go through your mental Rolodex or open up your database because we've never actually met, right, John? I mean, you're just telling them right up front, we've never actually met. And I'm just curious, have you actually sat down, taken the time to investigate the eXp Realty model as it relates to your production, your stock portfolio, your net worth, and most importantly, your ability to retire? Because I got to tell you, the finances and economics are life-changing. Have you taken the time? So powerful, John, and thank you for teaching us that. I've got my ISA using that script, and they're doing a great job, no doubt. All right, so Kyle, does that help? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And that's kind of so have you ran into Juan, we're doing that now that we've been EXP'd all over the US. Have you ran into that issue? And then have you looked at employing that in other countries and just doing reach outs from Instagram or anything along those lines as well, or Facebook or whatever?
So let me get into the second method. But before that, let me answer your first question. What would you have preferred? Everyone already hearing about EXP, and now it's kind of like you just have to pitch it the right way, or no one hearing about EXP and saying cloud-based brokerages? I would never join a cloud-based brokerage. Now, all of a sudden, in my opinion, it's easier to recruit because everyone's looking for sell-by owner. And if you just get really good at converting for sell-by owners, you're going to crush the market. Whereas before, well, you were pitching a model that no one knew about. We had no credibility. We weren't publicly traded. We were literally at what, 10, 15,000 agents globally. And then when people said EXP, they were like, I don't think I've heard from you before. I'm not interested. Whereas now everyone's like, yeah, I heard about EXP a couple of times. Someone already told me about it. I'm not interested. And then I just tell them, okay, cool. What if I could present EXP to you in a completely different way where it would show you a 5-year plan of how much more money you could make? Did they show it to you that way? And now you got a way to go out there and pitch the conversation differently. And if they say no to that, all good. I'm just going to call the next person. So I'll put it this way. For every 10 agents I speak to, maybe one of them has properly heard EXP pitched the right way. For the other 9, let's say they have heard it. They probably are either not interested or they would consider it in the future. And then of those 9, there's usually 2 or 3 that just never heard of EXP at all. So you are right in the sense that most people have heard of EXP, but most people out of 1.7 million realtors in America is what, maybe 300, 400, 500,000. There's still 500,000 that haven't. And then for your opportunity in other countries, oh my goodness, it's like EXP in 2017. No one knows about it. So at that point, it's just you against the world. You explain it to them, hey, in the US, we have this incredible model. It blew up. We're about to hit 100K agents. And you could be at the beginning of the most revolutionary technology-based driven model in South America, Colombia, Puerto Rico, whatever it may be. Now, method number 2 is Instagram DM. So once we started scaling the entire voice thing, we went ahead and started taking a different approach because my credibility and my brand started kind of taking off. So when it comes to Instagram, think of it like a resume. And if you could go ahead and put good enough value, good enough posts, you clean up the bio, you have a good amount of followers, you get verified. Well, now it's going to become a lot easier for you to pitch this because you have more credibility. So for example, if anyone here, who here knows Ryan Serhan, raise your hand. All right, cool. If Ryan Serhan reached out to anyone on this call, do you think Ryan Serhan would get a DM back? Probably. Does anyone know why they would DM Ryan back, or why he would go ahead and you would want to go ahead and reach back out to him? Because he has so much credibility within the industry. If you could build something similar, either on a local level or when it comes to your niche, when you reach out to people on Instagram now, it's a much higher conversion chance of them actually responding back. And if you could do this at mass, where you're sending out, I don't know, 10, 20 DMs a day saying, hey, Stacy, I just came across your profile. I love your content. And then they say, oh, thanks. I love your profile too. And then we follow each other back. Now you have two options. You could go straight for the kill and ask them, would you ever consider another brokerage model if you can make more money? Or what I like to do now is I nurture the relationship, usually for 2 to 6 weeks, like their posts, comment on their posts, engage with them. And then once you engage with them, the relationship is a little bit better. They're going to post a story about something in their business. And then you're going to say, listen, I love the real estate hustle. I want to get on a phone call with you so I can explain exactly step for step how I think you can make more money. Would you be open to that? I love your content. We've been following each other for the last 2 to 3 weeks. And then when you kind of do it in that way, the chance of them taking that meeting is going to be much higher. There really is no other secret sauce to this, except that there's a lot of people doing the right activity, but not nearly at enough volume to get the result they're looking for. If we had to put it back into gym terms, I'd like to say everyone is out here doing 10 push-ups at the gym every single day, lifting up their shirt saying, why don't I have a six-pack? When me and Sean are out here doing 1,000 a day saying, hey, the six-pack is right in front of you, but you just have to do way more volume. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Juan, I'm Sean and Juan, I'm going to interrupt here. Juan, do you have a Jewish Italian parents that are in the Connecticut area? Because I got to tell you, man, you and I sound exactly like brothers. I mean, Sean, you're probably laughing hearing the same thing, but even your script and my script essentially are doing the exact same thing. And so I just want to reiterate on that.
So I'm born and raised in New York. My family's over there. And everyone thinks I'm Italian, but I'm actually Colombian. It must be the hair. But I'll put it this way, John. What you've taken, right? It works. Imagine if you could take that and now implement leverage and now implement software automations to automate a lot of the stuff that you're currently doing. And then you could add staff to help you load up on more appointments. Whatever Sean is doing, whatever any of the alphas are doing, it's basically what everyone else is doing at way higher volume. And then they scale it out with 5 or 6 people. There is nothing that anyone is doing different.
And that's why I work with Sean, because he knows how to scale and I just know how to dial. But
anyway, I love it.
Not to interrupt anymore, but this
by the way, Kyle, I think there's fallacy out there that because I came from Keller Williams, because I had a reputation in the industry, that it was so much easier for Sean Kokoska to build revenue share. And guys, I will tell you, it is not easy for anyone. It's still hard work. There's no doubt about that. Yet I believe that the average agent out there actually has a leg up over me in attracting agents. I honestly believe this because you guys are creating 5 to 15 conversations a day just in the normal transactional work that you're doing. And guys, if you're willing to have just a 60-second add-on conversation to the conversation you're already having, whether it's John's script, one of my scripts, or Juan's script, guys, you have a big, and I mean huge opportunity, even more than me. I coach people back to back all day long. I invest maybe 3 to 5 hours a week into building revenue share. I wish it were more. If I were a smarter man, it would be a lot more. Yet the bottom line is you've got the bigger opportunity, in my opinion. All right, Kinga, you've been incredibly patient. Your hand has been up. Please take it away. And while we're waiting,
good morning. It's excuse the appearance. It's 6 o'clock here in Hawaii. I have a question. I think, Juan, you mentioned that you have somebody else doing the calling, and then I thought I read someplace that you're, and this is, I haven't really dug into it too much, that you're not supposed to do that, or you can't. So are they actually recruiting for you, or how does this work? I'm new to the whole thing.
No. So I have someone that's actually doing the actual appointment with me for my actual team. So when I go ahead and I say, hey, do you want to go ahead and join our team and what we're doing and everything on that side, they're explaining the entire model, but I technically recruited them in the sense that I introduced them to the company.
Oh, okay. So you do the initial one and then somebody else gets on the call and does the whole explanation.
I always do the initial phone call because if you were just to hand them out completely off to someone else, then they would basically be saying, well, who's this random Juan person I'm joining on there? So your goal is to always do at least some sort of outreach or intro, get that conversation going. And then, like I said, it's like leveraging your upline. You don't have to close your own recruits. You could send them to your upline, and your upline can close them for you.
Okay, got it.
Right
Thank
now,
you so
just
much.
Keep in mind, guys, to stay in compliance, the person who's doing this call in one scenario must be a licensed realtor. They must be with EXP to really talk about the model. Now, in my model, I can have an ISA that is not licensed, not with EXP, because they're not talking about EXP. They're setting the initial appointment. They're then taking the second appointment. They're walking through them through the psychology of change, getting them to rate their current broker on a scale from 0 to 10 on 5 different points, right? So moving them from positive present mindset to negative present to negative future. And then they position me to talk about EXP. Does that make sense? They're not talking about EXP. All they're doing is stacking negativity and then positioning me as the solution to the problem they now know that they have. Now, prior to that call, they didn't know they have a problem. Now they recognize I have a problem and they start looking for a solution. Trust you guys.
So are they the ones calling initially, or is it just somebody, or you just get it through a link or a Calendly? How does that work?
Yeah,
So
so
The initial.
Okay, Sean, yeah.
But in my model, yes, they're the ones who are calling initially. Now, how that occurs is they'll plug into some kind of a training that we'll do. And each one of you could do that. You promote an event,
Okay.
you hire, or you speak with somebody who's with EXP, or maybe you build a panel of, say, luxury agents, and then you just advertise through your board of realtors. Hey, I'm doing a luxury panel on May 15th. Here's your presenters, and then all you have to do is interview them. Yet here's the thing: when somebody registers to attend the event, of course they're going to pay for that event, not maybe with money, yet with their identity. So they have to complete a web form, first and last name, email address, phone number, right? So you could do the exact same thing that I'm doing. And then the ISA would get that list and contact them. Are you open-minded to a new opportunity? Whatever the script is. They then set up the second call. They walk them through the psychology of change, or they just simply hand them off to you at that moment. And that's totally fine too. Yeah, if you could make more money, and I love it, Juan, so direct. If you could make more money, would you be open-minded to shifting brokerages? Simple. Right? So somebody else makes that call.
Just to piggyback off that, Sean, it's something I see a lot of agents do is they try to outsource the call or the work when they haven't done the work themselves. It's the equivalent of you going out of your way to try to outsource listings when you've never mastered the listing presentation. And that's kind of, I would call it a trying to get a shortcut or trying to hack the path of success. If you want to go out of your way to outsource the entire recruiting process or do whatever you can, obviously while staying compliant, you better have performed 1,000 consultations yourself first, or you should have made 1,000 calls so that you know exactly how to train that person on how to do it better than you. And by outsourcing it prematurely, I think it's only hurting the organization and really just putting you in a position where what are you going to go back to doing? Like you're going to focus on sales, whatever it may be. So I think doing the work yourself first and then outsourcing it to scale is better than just outsourcing it to get it off your plate.
Absolutely.
I'm going to jump in here.
Love it.
Sean, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in here. Juan, I was literally with my hand up about to say the same thing. Do not outsource the #1 income producing activity in your business until you have your business so big that you can't do the #1 because that's not the #1 producing activity anymore. Then you can outsource it. But if you don't master how to perform a surgery, then I don't want your PA that works for you doing my surgery. It's not going to work. I ran a cold calling business on expires and FSBOs for years. I was doing 10 to 15 million a year, 3 hours a day. The reason is 6 years before that, I built an entire real estate business on cold calling expires and FSBOs. So master the craft and then get yourself so darn busy because your org is so huge that you are forced to look into gaining leverage. That's my opinion on it.
I love it. So speaking of improving your knowledge and your skills around attracting agents, guys, I have really exciting news. In fact, next week on Wednesday, immediately after this mastermind, meaning at 1 o'clock Eastern, we are launching live again the Attraction in Action program. Guys, this is 5 90-minute sessions. It's 1 per week. They're live. You can ask questions, get answers, and you're going to receive a workbook every single week with, most importantly, assignments between sessions that you must complete that are specifically designed to help you double, triple, even quadruple your revenue share group over the course of the next 12 to 24 months. So if you want to strengthen that foundation, if you want to know what to say and how to say it and handle objections and really build a business plan around building a revenue share business, man, this is your answer. This is your answer. Now you're going to get access to our entire library of content. You're going to get my slide deck. You're going to get all kinds of cool stuff and all the scripts, dialogues, objection handlers. Yet you can get all of that for just $497. And if you use this promo code LIVE, 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 we're going to discount it $50 for $447, guys. You're going to strengthen your foundation. You're going to gain the knowledge and skills to provide for yourself and your loved ones through revenue share for years and years to come. So I want you to go to iconcoaching.com. Go there right now. Go to the programs tab and click on Attraction in Action. You can read all about it right there. You can watch a few videos. I mean, some of the highest RevShare earners are promoting the heck out of this program. People like Gene Frederick and Brent Gove and Rob Flick and Elizabeth Riley, and even Juan is sending it out to his entire organization saying, you need to sign up. Imagine with me just for a moment, if every single person in your RevShare organization attracted one agent in the next 30 days, what would that look like? What would that feel like? And that's what's possible. Just go to iconcoaching.com, Attraction in Action, put in your promo code LIVE, LIVE, you're gonna get a discount. And I wanna see you on Wednesday live on that Zoom meeting, okay? Good stuff. Now we're nearing the end of our time. Let's see, I think everybody who had their hand up has been able to ask their question. Kyle, you got a follow up, go ahead.
Mine's quick. I see you're recording this. Do we get access to this recording or?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that. All of these sessions are in fact recorded. So you can go to iconcoaching.com because I trust you're already there signing up for Accelerated Breakthrough right now. But go to iconcoaching.com, go to the events tab. So once you click the events tab, then you're going to see the Attraction in Action Mastermind. Go ahead and click that. What you're going to see is a web form appear so you can register for this call. Yet what I want you to do though is scroll down to a section there that says don't miss a thing. Y'all see that? Don't miss a thing. Here, I'm trying to share my screen yet it's building slowly. There we go. Don't miss a thing. There it is. You click view replays. What that's going to do is bring you straight to our YouTube channel. Be sure to follow us, okay? And then you'll get notified immediately every time we post one of these videos or other things that'll help you build your revenue share. And here's what you're going to see as soon as it builds. There we go. Now you can see some of these rock stars, including Juan. You're going to be up there in about an hour's time, okay? You can see all these people that have just poured into you. There's John Mendelson, who's been active on the call today, which, by the way, he's got a great coaching and training program. We're going to be launching that again, probably in the next 45 days. We'll let you guys know, but I want you to plug into that as well. You can see all these people that have just poured into this group. So go back, check them out. All right, guys, it's all about improving the strength of your foundation. We're here to make that happen. So Juan, any final thoughts, parting words of wisdom, buddy?
Yes, there was someone in the actual chat that had a question that I really want to go ahead and just stomp. His name was Juan as well. Juan, you have a great name. All right, so basically what he asked me was, I don't do enough deals. Why would anyone follow me? It's a limiting self-belief. When I had less followers and way less experience than I had now, I literally recruited one of the biggest influencers in the country, and that catapulted my entire business. So you're thinking of it from a personal perspective. You're thinking of it from an ego-driven, well, I didn't do this, so why would they want to go speak to me? Has nothing to do with you. Has nothing to do whether you're me, Sean, or any other alpha. It has to do with the actual person. So stop making it about yourself and instead ask that person, how can I help you? What is the biggest challenge in your business? And then tell them, hey, if I could find a solution for you, are you open to a conversation with someone that could actually help you get there faster or solve that problem completely? That solves that. Number two, he said, the second belief I hear from people, everybody wants a physical office. I need to offer office space to recruit. I'll put it this way. When it comes to the whole office scenario, people think they need an office until they're paying for it every single month out of their pocket and they realize no one shows up. Been there, done that. Worst $50,000 I ever spent for 2 years. So what I can tell you is go ahead and tell them, listen, I know you think the office is an important thing now, but if I could show you a model where you can actually make way more money And then if you want to take that surplus of money and rent your own office without having to pay your broker a split, would you still be open to exploring something different? And if at some point they still give you so much pushback and they're like, no, I 1000% need an office, then avoid that. There's no point in trying to sell an electric car to someone that absolutely loves diesel gas-fueled cars. There's just nothing you could do. Can you try to convince them? Yeah, but they're probably not going to love it long-term. If people want an office, that's okay. This isn't the perfect model for everyone. That being said, I'm going to drop my Instagram in the comments. If anyone has any questions, always happy to just go ahead and just give free advice. I'll put it in there. And then Sean, anything else on my end or?
Dude, you crushed it as always, Juan. Thank you for your time. Thanks for being here. Thank you all for being here. Your focus, your energy, attention, and questions. Until we talk again next week, guys, just be on purpose, be productive, be powerful. Talk to you all then. Bye-bye.